Word problem, everybody's favorite. A cable that supports a suspension bridge is parabolic, meaning it's in the shape of a parabola. The horizontal distance between the ends of the cable is 140 meters, and the midpoint of the cable is 14 meters below the end of the cable. And we want to create an equation for this cable. So first of all, you have to decide where you want to make your axes, where you want to put your vertex. And a lot of people decide, okay, if this is my vertex, wouldn't it be easy if I just called it 0, 0, and then drew my y-axis there and my x-axis there? That wouldn't be too bad. If I did that, I can label this point and this point as well. If this is 0, 0, and it goes up 14, does it make sense that both of these have y coordinates of 14? If I make it 0, 0. What would the x coordinates be for those 2 points? Yeah, 70 here and minus 70 there, right? Because there's 140 in between them. So in a question like this, depending where you put your vertex, could get you different answers. But if I put my vertex there, and I think about the standard form of the equation, what can I plug in already? I can plug in P, and I can plug in Q. They'll both be zeros. If I plug both those zeros in, do you see that you only get ax squared after plugging in both those zeros? How do we find A? Either we have to be able to go over one, up one, like count it. I cannot count this one because it's so big. So then I have to take a point that I have and plug it in. What do I know? I know that when y is 14, x is 70. Oh my goodness. This would be one you definitely probably couldn't check and get easily. 70 squared is 4,900. Go to our calculator here. To get A by itself, we would divide both sides by 4,900. So A is going to equal 14 divided by 4,900. I'm going to just show you a couple things that are helpful on the graphing calculator. First of all, you could leave it as a decimal place. So, 14 divided by 4,900. You could leave it as decimal 00285 or 286 rounded to 3 decimal places. On your graphing calculator though, and on scientific calculators too, lots of them have buttons where you can switch between fraction mode and decimal mode. In the graphing calculator, if you hit the math button, number 1 says you can switch it back to a fraction. And what's nice is it always takes that fraction and reduces it to lowest terms. So in our example here, this reduces to 1 over 350. And I like writing that as my final answer rather than a decimal. It looks a little bit cleaner. Then I get 1 over 350x squared. And you'll notice at the bottom of the page they have a whole bunch of different answers depending on where you put your vertex. We picked our vertex to be at 0, 0. I thought that made it the simplest equation. But you could have chosen your vertex anywhere because it didn't say that had to be your vertex. You could have made 0, 0 right here, and then your vertex would be 70 over 14 down. Or you could have put your axis right here and just move your vertex 14 down and make both of those x-intercepts. So those are all options that you have. All right, circle question number 11.